Hi guys, welcome to the next session in TestNG series. So in this scenario, we will see another use case by using the data provider concept in TestNG. So I need to run a TestNG test method multiple times. Okay, but this time I'm going to get the test data from the Excel sheet. Okay, so for example, I will explain through a very simple example. So I have this login page and I need to test this login functionality for multiple users. Okay, so in actual project, I may have multiple users, okay, that can be used to log in into the application and perform the different functionalities. So currently, let's say I have two users, user 1 and user 2, and I need to test that user 1 and user 2 are able to log in into the application on Chrome and Firefox. Okay, so both users should be able to log in into the application on different browsers, Chrome and Firefox. Okay, so if I want to test this, or if I want to automate this scenario in our automation testing, then I need to use the data provider. So let's say this is the login test method. Okay, so this method I need to run on different browsers with different setup users. Okay, so I can, one way is to hard code the values for the browser and user information and run this login test separately. Okay, so let's say we have two users, so we need to run this login test 4 times. Okay, so user 1 on Chrome and Firefox, then user 2 on Chrome and Firefox. Okay, that means we need to run this login test four times, right? So instead of hard coding those values and running this login test 4 times, what we can do is we can use the data provider. Okay, and we will store our values, this test data in the data provider, and this login test will use that data provider. Okay, so automatically this login test will be executed 4 times. It will open the Chrome 2 times and Firefox 2 times for user 1 and user 2. Okay, so in real time, what we do is we save our test data in external files. Okay, so it is always a better practice to save your testing data or test data in external files. That can be your Excel file, or that can be your CSV file, or you can get the data from the database as well. Okay, so as of now, in this example, what I am doing is I have stored our test data in the Excel sheet. Okay, so this is our testing data.xlsx, and this contains two columns, browser and user and credentials. Okay, so our login test has to be run on Chrome for user 1, and same user 1 should be able to log in into the application on Firefox as well. Okay, and same for the user 2. User 2 have this credentials, test user 2 and password 2, so that user should also be able to log in into application on Chrome and Firefox. So main use of this approach is you are using the Excel sheet, means you are saving your test data externally. So it is always easy to update any data or add any data if we are storing or using any external files for storing the test data. If you are hard coding the values into the Java code itself, then you need to open the Java files again and again, and you need to modify those test data. Okay, so it is always best practice to use the external files, CSV, Excel, or get the data from the database. So to understand this scenario, I have created two parts. Like in part 1, we will see the first logic, okay, and in part 2, we will see the second logic. So in both the part, we are storing the test data in Excel sheet only. Only the approach how we are going to read the Excel is different. Okay, so if you understand the part 1, the first approach, then this second approach in part 2 will be very easy to understand. Okay, so both these parts are very important, and I know most of the people are at beginner level. Okay, so let's go stepwise. Let's understand the first part, how we are storing the test data, how we are reading the test data and store that in data provider, and how this data from the data provider will be used for the running the TestNG test method multiple times. Okay, so let's start now. So this is the login test which requires two parameters. One is browser and another one will be the user information, which contains the username and password. Okay, so this login test will require to use the test data from this data provider, and our data provider name is get test data. Okay, so I will explain this code. Okay, first our priority is to get the browser and user information values here. Okay, so how we are going to get those values here? So those values will be received from this data provider. Okay, so we need to save our test data in this data provider. Okay, so in data provider, we need to store the values in the form of two-dimensional array, right? So first we need to declare one two-dimensional array here, string two-dimensional array. Let's say data equal to new string two-dimensional array, and I am going to store the values in this two-dimensional array one by one. So we required 4 elements, right? In our scenario, we required 4 elements. Okay, so in these elements we are going to store two different values. Okay, so this will be my first value, then in second row I will have two different values. Okay, so these are the two-dimensional array elements. Okay, so first let me show you. We will hard code those values and we will try to run our test case, and let's see if it is working fine or not. And if it was fine, then we will see how we can get this data from the external file, from the Excel. Okay, so for now I will just hard code those values. So my browser is Chrome, and my first data is, I will copy from the Excel. Okay, so for first iteration, this Chrome and this data will be given to the login test. Okay, and then we are going to split the user information. Okay, so in user information, what value I will get is this one, this complete value. In user information, this is the value we will get. So we need to split this user information, right? It contains three values. One is user type, then credentials, that is username and password. So that's why I have split this user information with the comma. And in first place we will get the user, then in second place we will get the username, and at the second index we will get the password. So depending upon this browser value, we will open the Chrome browser or Firefox browser. Okay, so here we have used the web drawer manager. Okay, so this is very simple code, you will understand it. And then we will open our URL. Okay, so we are going to open the sample website, okay, login page, and we will enter the username and password, and we will click on the login. So here I have created the web elements. One is for username, then password, and then login button, right? And then it is time to perform the actions. So this we are going to print in the console, so that we will understand which test is running on which browser and for what user. Okay, and it is going to add the username and password on this using this web elements. Okay, using send keys method. Okay, so here I have not added any validation point if it is able to log in into the application or not, as it is a sample website. But if you take an example of a real-time application, you can use a validation or do the assertion by using the page title or URL or any web element on the dashboard or home page that will be open after the login. Okay, so that point you can add here. Okay, validation. Validation means to say that login is successful or not. Okay, so this login test will require the browser and user information, and that will be given by this data provider. So for first iteration, these two values will be given to the login test, and it will use these values and run our login test. Then in second iteration, I need to use the same credentials here. Means this data will be same, only the same user should be able to log in onto the Firefox. So let me add the values for other user as well. So these are the four values we have stored in our data provider. Okay, so here I will complete our two-dimensional array. So this object of two-dimensional array we need to return to the login test. Okay, so this data provider with the name get test data, I will return these four values. Okay, and this will be used by the TestNG test method. Okay, so this is the syntax we need to use that we already seen, right? So this method should run 4 times. It will open Chrome browser 2 times and Firefox 2 times. Okay, for different set of test data. So here I have hard coded these values. Okay, that means I have stored this test data in the Java file itself. Okay, so first let's see if it is working fine or not, and then we will try to get this data from the Excel file. Okay, so if you want to run the login test, I have created the TestNG XML file here. Okay, so you just need to mention the which method you want to run from this class, package for data provider example with Excel class. Okay, so here I have provided the method name. So I will go and simply run this test method. So first Chrome browser will open. It will open the first user credential here and password. Okay, one is done, then it will open the Firefox. Okay, so same user, only browser is different. Okay, so now test will be run for the second user. So Chrome browser for test user 2. and now it will open the Firefox. So as you can see in the test result, this login test has run 4 times, for on Chrome the first user, then on Firefox for the first user, and similarly for Chrome and Firefox for the second user. And in console you can see we have printed this statement, right? So first running the test on Chrome for user 1, then running the test on Firefox for user 1, and same for user 2. It has run the test on Chrome and Firefox. Okay, so now we have hard coded those values, so we need to read the data from the Excel file now. Okay, so instead of hard coding those values, I will create a utility method that will go and read the data from this Excel one by one, and it will store in the data provider. Okay, so how to read the Excel file, that we have already seen the code in the previous sessions. So we need to create the Java method to read these cell values one by one from this Excel. Okay, so for that purpose I will create one more package here. Let's say util package, and I will add the Java class here. Let's say read Excel data. So let me add the Java code for this utility method that we have already created in the previous sessions. So this is the Java code for reading the cell value from the Excel one by one. So I will explain it in short. So this is my method name, read Excel data, which required one parameter, that is the data. Okay, so if you want to read the cell value from the Excel, you need to pass the Excel path. That means which Excel you want to read, then which sheet you want to read, which row number and cell number. Okay, so if you see the Excel, every element will have some row number and cell number. Okay, and that it will contain the multiple sheets as well. Okay, so this Excel contains multiple sheets, so we need to provide the which sheet you want to read. Okay, and where this testing data Excel is available. Okay, so that location you need to send. So for this element, for this Chrome, if you see the location, this is the second row and first cell. For this credential, for the user one, the location is second row and second cell. Okay, similarly for this Firefox, the row number is 3 and cell number is 1. Then row number is 3 and cell number is 2. Okay, so likewise you need to send the values one by one for this utility method in the data. Okay, so this is the format. So then once you get this data, you need to split the data, right? So you need to separate these values, the Excel path, the sheet number, row number and cell number. Okay, so I have already added here. Okay, so you will understand that. So all those values will be in a form of string, right? So we'll require the integer values. Okay, so our path will be available at the 0th index and in the values array, right? So that will be string path, and then at the first index we will have the string, we will have the sheet number, right? So we need to convert that string sheet number into the integer value. Okay, so this function we have used integer dot value of value 1. Then at second index we will have the row number, and at the third index we will have the column number, that is cell number. Okay, so then we need to create the object of file class. Okay, so I will import this from the java.io. Okay, once your file is ready, we need to create the input stream, file input stream. Okay, so just provide that file reference to this file input stream. Okay, then you can read the workbook. So for workbook we will require the file input stream, that means which file, Excel file you want to read. Okay, so that reference we have provided here, the FIS reference. Then we need to read the sheet. Okay, once the workbook is ready, we need to read the sheet from that workbook. Okay, so XSF sheet wb.getSheet. Okay, so which sheet you want to read, you need to provide the index. So here we will provide the sheet number, whatever we will get in this the first index. Okay, the first index, that sheet number we are going to read. Okay, so this also will come from the Apache POI APIs. So let me import all these. Okay, so once we get the sheet, then we need to read the row. Okay, so for that purpose you need to create the XSF row sheet dot get a row, and which row you want to read. So you just need to provide the row number you want to read. Okay, and once you get the row, depending upon the row you will get the cell. Okay, so use this function row dot get a cell, and once you get the cell, we just need to read the string value. Okay, so that I am going to store into this string cell data variable cell dot get string cell value. Okay, so after reading this, in the first iteration we will get this Chrome value. Okay, so we will pass 2 comma 1 and the this location of this testing data xlsx and the sheet number. Okay, and whatever value we will get in this cell data we will return. Okay, so we just need to call this method one after another and save that data into our data provider. Okay, so I will comment those values now. So here let's save the data into data provider by calling this read excel data from this read excel data class. Okay, so same fashion we need to add the values into two-dimensional array. It's 4 values. So if I want to call any method from another Java class into different Java class, then I need to create the object for that Java class first. Okay, and using that object reference I will be able to call this method. Okay, so first let's create the object for this class. Okay, read excel data, let's say rb equal to new read excel data. Okay, so before using it we need to import this read excel data class from the util package. Okay, so need to add the import statement here. So let's get the first value, the Chrome value, by calling that method using this rb reference, rb dot read excel data, and this data required the string parameter. Okay, so we need to send the excel path where the excel is available, then the sheet number, row number and cell number, right? So what I will do is I will create here string path equal to my testing data.xlsx is available at the project location. Okay, so this is the file that we are going to use. Okay, so what I will do is I will use system dot get property, let's say user dot directory. This will give me the project location, and after a project location I need to read this excel file, right? So I will give read slash testing data dot xlsx. Okay, so this is the path of my excel file that I want to use for my login test. Okay, user dot directory, that is the project location, and then testing data dot xlsx. Okay, so I need to send this path value, then I need to send the sheet number, row number and cell number. Okay, so everything should be in a single parameter, single string variable. Okay, so I need to concat all those values. So we got the file location, then I will use the plus, and in the double quote you need to provide the all the other values, sheet number, row number and cell number. So first comma 0th sheet. Okay, 0th sheet, then row number is, let's say, what is the row number for the Chrome? Okay, so if you see, this is the row number 2 and cell number is 1. Okay, so we are starting from the row number 2. Here we have added the index, then this browser row. So you need to keep in mind while reading the Excel, every element, the first element of the Excel is 0 comma 0. Okay, so it will start the index from the 0, right? So this for this element the row number is 2 and cell number is 1. So sheet 0, then row number is 2, cell number is 1. So if I call this read excel data method and I send these parameters, I should get the Chrome value. Okay, so it is available in this testing.xlsx, that path we have sent. Then sheet number is 0. Okay, so everything from the Excel will start from the 0. So this is the 0th sheet, and this is the 0th index, 0th row, 0th cell. Okay, so as we are passing 2 comma 1, okay, we will get the Chrome. Okay, we should get the Chrome here, then give the comma here, and then again we need to call the method to get the credentials. So read excel data, again same value, only our cell will be different, right? So this time row number is 2, only cell number should be 2. Okay, so if you see the Excel, okay, don't get confused that this is the row number. So row number will be same for this user and credential, only the cell number is 2. Okay, so this is for our first iteration. It will bring Chrome and this will bring the credentials. Then for second user or for second iteration, same values we need to use. Okay, so this time only row number will change. So row number will be 3 Okay, so here we will get the second, then for next iteration and the fourth one. So only row numbers are going to change. Fourth row, then fifth row, and for this 4 and 5. So I hope this is clear. It is very simple. Just we have created the utility method which will accept the one string parameter. Okay, so in this string you need to provide the Excel path where your Excel is available in our framework. Then provide the sheet number, row number, and cell number. Okay, so every time when you need to read the cell from the Excel, we need to call this read Excel data and pass these parameters. So instead of running it directly, let's debug this code. Okay, let's use the debugger so that you will understand how operations are happening. After reading all the data, we will see what data we will get in this data variable. Okay, object reference, two-dimensional object reference. So I need to debug as TestNG suite. Okay, so for the first iteration, it has called this read Excel data. Okay, so for first iteration, if you see in the data, we got the path. This is the path of the file that we want to read. Okay, so this is the project location TestNG tutorials, right? And in the TestNG tutorials, this is the Excel I want to read. Okay, testing data.xlsx. That means path is correct. Then comma, 0th sheet, then row number is 2 and first cell. Okay, so these are the values we got in this data variable. So let's go to the next. Okay, so in the path we will see we'll get the path of the Excel. Then in sheet number we got the 0. Then in row number we got the 2, and this is the column number. Okay, that is the cell number. So it will try to create the object for this XSF workbook. So using this object, we will get the sheet, then get the row and get the cell. Okay, so once we get that cell, for that Chrome value, we should get the Chrome here. Okay, by reading the get string cell value. So let's see that. Okay, so you can see that we got the Chrome. Okay, and that value will be returned, and that value will be stored at the first position 0, 0 in the this two-dimensional array. Okay, so we'll resume it. So this method is called for the second time. Okay, so these are the values will be sent 0, 2, 2. Okay, the path, and if you see 0, 2, 2. Okay, so in similar fashion we will read the each and every value. Okay, so this method will be called 8 times. Okay, so after calling it will return all the values, and that will be stored into our array. Okay, so if you see in the data we got the Chrome, then user1, test1 user, password1. So it has saved all those values in the similar fashion. Only this time we have read data from the Excel. Okay, so whatever values we have here in this Excel, all those values are stored into our two-dimensional array. Okay, so this data will be given to the login test now. So this login test will run 4 times. Okay, with different set of test data. Okay, so if I click on play now, we resume. So it has opened the Chrome, and this is for the first test user. So test on for user 1 is done on Chrome and Firefox. Then it will run the test for the user 2 on the Chrome and then Firefox. Okay, so everything is working fine. So if you see, we are able to run our login test multiple times only in a single run. We don't need to call that login test again and again or run that 4 times. Okay, so that is the use of data provider in our TestNG. So this is the very useful feature in the TestNG. So you just need to store whatever test data you want to use for any login test or any TestNG method that you want to run multiple times. Okay, so store that data into the data provider, and then that data will be given to that TestNG method, and that will be run multiple times. Okay, so only at the first place we have hard code those values. Okay, so this is not a best approach, but for better understanding we have hard coded those values, Chrome, and these are the user credentials. And then we have seen how we can create the utility method. Okay, so our utility method is also very easy. Okay, very easy to understand. You just need to pass the parameter in the form of, let's say, Excel path that you want to read, then sheet number, row number, and cell number every time. Okay, and this is the very simple code that will every time will give the cell value. Okay, one by one. So this is very useful when we are trying to run our login test for multiple users. Okay, so for now I have just added the two users. Okay, Chrome and Firefox. Let's say I want to check this functionality for 100 users. So in that scenario you just need to add those values in the Excel. You don't need to change anything in the code, but still you need to add the entries here also. Okay, so disadvantage of this approach is you need to add the entries, means the reading the Excel data and the row number and cell number here. Okay, for that for those 100 users. Okay, so this is the first approach. So if you understand this, then in the second approach, in the second part, we are going to see how we can use the another logic so that you don't require to change anything in the Java code. Okay, so our code will handle everything. You just need to add the or update the test data in the Excel. Okay, so it depends upon your requirement, how many users you want to add. Okay, so it doesn't matter how many users you will update or add into this Excel, our Java code should be able to handle that and read all the data from the Excel and store in the data provider. Okay, so that I am going to cover into the second part. I hope you will understand this first approach, how we can use the test data from the Excel sheet, store that data in the Excel, read that data and store in the data provider, and pass the data provider to the TestNG test method to run the multiple times with different set of test data. Okay, so in interview if someone asks you, you can give the examples. Okay, so for instance the first example you can give this hardcode values. So instead of hardcode values you can say that we can store the data in the Excel or CSV file, and you just need to call or create the utility method to read the cell data one by one, and just need to call that method here. Okay, so that approach is the second approach. And third approach is will be to read the data, means entire data from the Excel. Okay, and store it into the data provider. So that's all for this session, guys. I hope you will understand this concept and how we have created the utility method and how we are using the data provider. So I will try to create the video on this part 2, okay, as soon as possible. So till that, just understand the logic that we have used in this part 1 for the data provider, and let me know if you don't understand anything or if you face any issue while running that code on your local machine. Okay, so thanks for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video soon.